Discovered my sister received $3,000 monthly from parents, while I fainted from overwork. A personal tale. I'm Liam, a 19-year-old medical student in New York City, originally from Texas. My parents reside in Dallas, where my father works as a surgeon at a university hospital, and my mother manages our household. 4 months ago, I moved to New York to pursue my dream of studying medicine, inspired by my father. However, the typical college experience, making friends, joining clubs, and enjoying life, has been out of reach due to financial struggles. While my parents cover my tuition, I'm responsible for all other expenses. To make ends meet, I juggle 3 jobs: tutoring, event staffing, and bartending. Even with these, paying rent and living costs is a constant challenge. I switch jobs frequently to fit my class schedule, mostly working weekends. The toll is heavy, mentally and physically. I'm exhausted in lectures, and late nights leave me too drained to study effectively. I'm terrified of falling behind academically and having to repeat a year. Desperate, I reached out to my mother for financial help, even just a small amount. My father's demanding job keeps him away, so my mother controls the finances. Despite my father's substantial income, she claimed they were stretched thin with my tuition and couldn't spare anything extra. Her response left me feeling trapped. Many of my peers who live independently receive parental support, and I couldn't help but feel jealous. Still, I vowed to push forward. Growing up, I noticed stark differences in how my parents treated me compared to my sister, Elise, who is 21 and studying fashion design at a prestigious school in Paris. While I had to work hard for every achievement, Elise seemed to have an easier path. My mother always called her my golden girl, destined for greatness. I loved my sister, but the unequal treatment was hard to ignore. At ages 10 and 12, I brought home straight A's, and my mother simply said, "That's what we expect from you, Liam." That same day, Elise's report card, filled with B's and a few C's, earned her a small celebration for her creative spirit, with my mother dismissing academics as not her thing. My father seemed uneasy, but never intervened. Struggling with midterms, I had to retake them in August before summer break. I planned to work as many hours as possible during the break to save money, intending to cut back on shifts once school resumed to focus on studies. To save money, I resorted to eating instant noodles, bread, and discounted pre-made meals, and I cycled everywhere to avoid transportation costs. Coming from a well-off family, I never imagined living in such poverty after moving to New York. Despite my hectic schedule, I stayed in touch with a college friend via text and occasionally checked Elise's Instagram. Her posts showcased a glamorous life: Parisian cafes, fashion events, and trips to Monaco and Milan, each featuring new designer outfits or accessories. It stung to see her thriving while I scraped by. One post hit particularly hard: Elise at a rooftop party with the Eiffel Tower in the background, wearing a new Dior dress captioned, "Mom always knows what I need. Blessed Paris fashion." I wondered how my parents could afford such luxuries when they claimed to have no money to spare. My friends invited me out, but I declined, citing lack of time and money. "Let's go somewhere cheap, I'll drive," a classmate texted. "Can't. Working every day and heading home for the holidays," I replied. He expressed concern, noting I seemed exhausted at school. "I've got the stamina, and I need the money," I assured him. Then disaster struck. During a busy Friday shift at the bar, I felt dizzy while carrying a tray of drinks. The room spun, and the tray felt unbearably heavy. I grabbed the bar to steady myself before blacking out. I woke up in a hospital where a doctor explained I'd collapsed from exhaustion and malnutrition. After receiving IV fluids, I was discharged the next day. I apologized to my boss, who had called an ambulance, and informed my parents. He insisted I rest for the month, reducing my income. On the subway home, I debated taking on more tutoring gigs, feeling lost. I spent the next day in bed, recovering, and responded to a missed message from my friend explaining my collapse. He visited, bought groceries, and cooked pasta for me. Over dinner, we discussed the costs of living alone. He was shocked to learn I received no parental support. "Your dad's a doctor. You should be getting help," he said. I explained my mother's claim that they couldn't afford it. He pointed out Elise's lavish lifestyle in Paris, suggesting something was amiss. It dawned on me that my parents' wealth, our upscale home, private schools, and my father's luxury car didn't align with their supposed financial strain. I recalled a past conversation where my father questioned why my summer camp was canceled while Elise attended an expensive art program in Europe. My mother justified it as investing in Elise's future, claiming I preferred staying home. My father seemed frustrated but relented. Suspicious, I texted my mother to check on them, receiving a vague reply. "We're fine." Unable to shake my unease, I called Elise, a rare move since we weren't close. Surprised, she asked, "What's wrong?" I casually inquired about her life in Paris. "Amazing," she said. "Mom just sent me a gorgeous Chanel bag for my birthday next month." My heart sank. When I asked how she managed financially, she casually revealed, "Mom sends me about $3,000 a month plus extra for special things." Stunned, I ended the call abruptly, citing study commitments. The revelation that Elise received $3,000 monthly while I was told there was no money left me reeling. I decided to confront my parents in person during the holidays. I booked a cheap flight home for a brief visit, constrained by work. My parents greeted me at the door, shocked by my gaunt appearance. "You've lost so much weight," my father remarked. At lunch, over chicken wings, salad, and soup, he pressed, "Are you eating properly?" I admitted to surviving on instant noodles and discounted meals, explaining that the $5 cafeteria food was too expensive. Confused, he asked, "Isn't the money I've been sending enough?" I was stunned. "I haven't received any money." He revealed he'd instructed my mother to transfer $2,000 monthly to my account. Turning to her, he demanded, "Paisley, have you been sending Liam's money?" She looked down, silent. After pressing, she admitted, "I haven't sent any money to Liam." My father and I were floored. She confessed to diverting the funds to Elise, claiming she needs it more. Paris is expensive, and she needs to fit in. I revealed Elise's $3,000 monthly allowance, mentioning the Chanel bag. My mother was shocked I knew. My father, furious, learned I'd collapsed at work, a fact my mother hadn't shared. "You let Liam struggle to the point of collapse while funding Elise's shopping sprees?" he demanded. My mother argued Elise's potential and delicate nature justified the support, dismissing my needs because I was like my father and would be fine. The betrayal stung deeply. My father declared he'd take over the finances, ensuring I received $2,000 monthly and capping Elise's allowance at $1,000. Lunch ended in tense silence, with my mother dabbing her eyes, playing the victim, while my father seethed. In my room, I reflected on years of favoritism. Elise's car at 16 while I was told to save up. Her artwork displayed prominently while my academic achievements were dismissed, and her expensive art program in Italy while my science camp was deemed unaffordable. That evening, my father apologized, admitting he'd been too detached from the finances. He revealed he'd confronted Elise, reducing her allowance, and uncovered that my mother had diverted $300,000 from our family trust, meant to be split equally between Elise and me, into a separate account for Elise. He was working to restore the funds. He vowed to be more involved, his voice breaking with regret. Elise called me, furious, accusing me of turning our father against her. I explained my struggles, contrasting them with her lavish lifestyle. She was unaware of my collapse and softened, admitting she didn't realize the extent of my hardship. I suggested she get a job like I had, but she hung up, insisting her fashion studies left no time for work. The next morning, the house was tense. My mother barely spoke, while my father tried to connect with me. He announced he'd control the finances and revealed deeper marital issues, hinting at possible divorce due to my mother's deceit. I returned to New York, reeling. My father deposited $5,000 to cover missed allowances and promised regular support. I bought fresh groceries, vegetables, meat, fruit, and savored a proper meal, a luxury after months of scarcity. I reduced my work hours, keeping tutoring but cutting bar shifts to weekends and quitting event staffing. My grades improved, and I felt healthier. Over the next few months, my family transformed. My father moved into an apartment, and my parents separated. Elise, initially resistant, got a part-time job at a Paris boutique and adapted to her reduced budget. My mother continued sending Elise money secretly, but when my father discovered this, he filed for divorce. The proceedings were contentious, but evidence of my mother's financial misconduct favored my father. I focused on my health and studies, regaining weight and joining a pre-med club. Elise and I grew closer, bonding over our respective journeys. She apologized for not seeing the favoritism's impact, and we began regular calls. 3 years later, I'm thriving in my 4th year of medical school, preparing for residency interviews, and near the top of my class. My father, now a supportive presence, visits regularly, and we've grown closer. Elise launched her own fashion line in Paris, balancing school and work, and credits budget constraints for sparking her creativity. My mother, struggling post-divorce, moved to a condo and works part-time at a department store. Her relationship with us remains strained, but Elise and I plan to visit her together this Christmas, hoping to rebuild. The truth about my mother's favoritism nearly shattered our family, but it led to a new foundation of fairness and honesty. It's not perfect, but it's real. I'm no longer the overlooked child, but Liam, a medical student, son, brother, and person worthy of support, chasing my dreams with newfound strength. As Christmas approached, Elise and I coordinated our plans to visit Dallas together. It was the first time we'd see Mom since the divorce, and the idea of facing her brought a mix of anticipation and unease. I'd been thriving in New York, excelling in my 4th year of medical school, but the emotional weight of our fractured family lingered. Elise, now more grounded, was balancing her boutique job and fashion school, her independent line gaining traction online. Our regular video calls had built a bridge between us, but Mom remained a sensitive topic. We arrived in Dallas on a chilly December morning, splitting our time between Dad's new apartment and Mom's condo. Dad picked us up from the airport, his face lighting up as he hugged us both. "It's good to have you two together," he said, his voice warm but tinged with the weariness of the past few years. His apartment was modest but cozy, filled with medical journals and a few framed photos of us as kids. Over coffee, he shared updates about his practice and asked about my residency applications. "You've got your pick of programs, Liam. I'm proud of you," he said, squeezing my shoulder. When Elise shared her latest designs, he listened intently, praising her ingenuity. It felt like a new kind of family moment, equal, supportive, devoid of the old favoritism. Visiting Mom was different. Her condo, a small unit in a quiet complex, was a stark contrast to our old sprawling home. She greeted us with a tight smile, her eyes darting between Elise and me as if gauging our loyalty. The air was heavy with unspoken tension. She'd prepared a simple dinner, pasta and salad, a far cry from the elaborate meals of my childhood. As we ate, she steered the conversation to Elise's life in Paris, barely acknowledging my studies. "Your designs are stunning, Elise. You're meant for greatness," she said, her voice almost pleading. Elise nodded politely but redirected the talk to me. "Liam's killing it in med school, Mom. He's top of his class." Mom's smile faltered and she murmured, "That's nice, Liam," before changing the subject. Later, as we washed dishes, Elise whispered, "She's still stuck in her old ways." I nodded, feeling a pang of sadness but no surprise. That evening, Mom tried to slip Elise an envelope of cash, whispering, "For your next collection." Elise gently pushed it back. "I'm okay, Mom. I'm earning my own money now." Mom's face crumpled, and she retreated to her room. I felt a mix of pity and frustration. She was clinging to a dynamic that no longer existed. Elise and I exchanged a look, silently agreeing to keep supporting each other through this. The visit wasn't all heavy. Elise and I spent a day exploring Dallas, revisiting old haunts like the ice cream shop we loved as kids. For the first time, we laughed and reminisced without the shadow of competition. "I used to think you had it all figured out," she admitted, licking her cone. "I was jealous of how Mom doted on you," I confessed. We both laughed, marveling at how our perceptions had been warped by Mom's favoritism. Back in New York, I dove into residency interviews, securing a spot at a top hospital in Boston. The news felt like a milestone, proof that my hard work had paid off. Dad flew in to celebrate, taking me to a steakhouse where we toasted to new beginnings. "You're going to be an incredible doctor," he said, his eyes misty. Elise texted me a congratulatory video, modeling a scarf she'd designed as a gift for my move to Boston. "You're stuck with me now, big brother," she teased, and I grinned, feeling closer to her than ever. Meanwhile, Elise's fashion line caught the attention of a Parisian boutique chain, leading to a small distribution deal. She sent me photos of her first in-store display, her face beaming with pride. "This is all me. No handouts," she wrote. I could sense her newfound confidence, a stark contrast to the entitled sister I'd once known. Our calls became a lifeline, a space to share triumphs and vent about challenges. She even visited me in New York, crashing on my couch and marveling at my grown-up life. We cooked dinner together, laughing over burnt pasta and swapping stories about our respective worlds. Mom's adjustment remained rocky. She called sporadically, often complaining about her job or Dad's unfair settlement. I tried to listen, but her refusal to acknowledge the past made it hard to connect. Elise had better luck, setting firm boundaries while maintaining a cautious relationship. During one call, Mom hinted at moving to Paris to be closer to Elise, who gently dissuaded her. "I need to do this on my own, Mom," she said, a phrase that seemed to sting Mom more than she let on. By spring, I was preparing to move to Boston for residency, a mix of excitement and nerves bubbling inside me. Dad helped me pack, insisting on buying me a new suit for interviews. "You're starting a new chapter, Liam," he said. "You've earned this." Elise, meanwhile, was invited to showcase her designs at a small Paris Fashion Week event, a huge step for an independent designer. She FaceTimed me from her studio, surrounded by fabric swatches. "If you'd told me 3 years ago I'd be here, I wouldn't have believed it," she said. "Same," I replied, thinking of my journey from collapse to confidence. Our family's scars haven't fully healed. Mom's still grappling with her new reality, and while I hope she finds peace, I've accepted that our relationship may never be close. Dad's thriving, dating a kind nurse who shares his love of science, and he's more present than ever. Elise and I have built a bond stronger than I ever imagined, rooted in mutual respect and shared resilience. The truth about Mom's favoritism tore us apart, but it also forced us to rebuild, honestly, fairly, and with love that feels earned, not manipulated. As I stand on the cusp of residency, I'm no longer just the overlooked son. I'm Liam, a future doctor, a supportive brother, and a person who's found his place in a family remade by truth. The road wasn't easy, but it led me here, and for that, I'm grateful.